Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda, and we're going to talk about my recent 5-star reads. I am really far behind in this. These are books that I read in January and February, and the reason that I'm so far behind is that I decided to just take 20 books at a time and talk about the 5-star reads in those 20 books. And so I didn't do one of these for April, which put me a little bit further behind, and I was already kind of behind. So I might be doubling up in the future months just to try to get caught up to where I am right now. But we're going to talk about the 3 5-star reads that I had in my next set of 20 books. The first one of those is Lady Night by Tamora Pierce. This is the 4th book in a series called The Protector of the Small, and it is specifically about, this is probably her 3rd series, maybe her 4th series set in the Kingdom of Tortall, which is where Alana was set. So a lot of people, if they know Tamora Pierce, it's from Alana. And so Alana is an adult, but this is the story of Kell. Her name technically is Kelladry of Mendelin, but she goes by Kell. Anyway, they have now opened up in the land of Tortall. They've opened up the knights training to allow women in. Now, Alana is still a knight, but that was because she pretended to be a guy. So Kell is like the first girl who is going to be a knight, and everybody knows she's a girl from the very beginning. And so that dynamic sets up just like a weird thing with her and the rest of the students who are there, or the people in training, because they're all guys. And so we immediately find out which of the boys are going to be accepting of her and which are not. And it kind of sets up the same kind of thing that we had when Alana was at school, where there were some boys that she liked and some that she didn't. Even though they didn't know she was a girl, it just kind of worked its way out that way. I guess Tamora Pierce is just trying to say that anytime you have a setting like that, there's going to be some people who are bullies and some people who are not. And so that's kind of the same way that it is now, but she just has extra rules on her because she is the first girl, like openly being a girl at this place. So none of that matters for this book, because in this book, she has been made a knight and she is going to get sent in her first assigned post to go to, and she's expecting it to be like a combat post, and she's all ready to go, and instead they send her to what amounts to like a refugee camp in the middle of kind of nowhere. And she still doesn't understand, because she feels like they have to go through this chamber of the ordeal whenever they're becoming a knight, and it kind of showed her these things that she thought she was going to be doing. And then she gets sent to this refugee camp, and she's like, that's not what I thought the ordeal was going to have me do. And eventually we figure out that maybe the ordeal was correct. She just got there in a different way than she thought she would. And so I loved the end of this. Like, I love how it was wrapped up. I think Tamora Pierce does a really good job of ending things in a really good way. Now, again, this is young adult, just a step up from middle grade fantasy. And so there are happy endings. Like, we don't expect that Kell is going to show up and then all of a sudden get killed or something. Like, this is not what her books are about, and this is not why we're here to read them. So it's just so good, and I really loved this wrap up. The characters that she's built up around Kell, the character arc of Kell from the beginning, who she was at the beginning to who she is now at the end of this, is just so good. And I enjoyed it. I love the ride, and I guess I'm giving 5 stars to the whole series and not just book 4. I loved them all. I had been a little bit let down for the series before this, and so starting Kell was just like a breath of fresh air, and I loved it so much the whole time. It was just great. Okay, the next 5-star read that I had was Lily by Daniel Barnett. I still have to order my own copy of this, because this is the copy that Daniel sent us for review, and this is also the one that I tabbed up. I wonder if you can see the tabs. You can see a lot of them, but This book is filled up with tabs, and I don't reread books, but I think what I will do now that I have books that I've been tabbing like this, I think I will go back through and just read the parts that I tabbed, because those are my favorite parts anyway. And that might be my version of rereading a book. But anyway, this is the 6th book in the Nightmareland Chronicles, and this is the end of what he's calling the first arc of the story. He is still writing the rest of the books in this series. So far, book 6 is as far as we have. I have them all right here behind me. And so I knew that it was going to be the last one for a while, and I really wanted to take my time and enjoy it and tab it, and I really did. I had such a good time with this book. I don't know why I'm saying good time. This book is heartbreaking. All of them in this whole series are heartbreaking. However, from book 1, I feel like, possibly book 2, I have been so connected to some of these characters, like deeply connected to them, and just the journeys that they all go through, getting them here is just the best. Like, I don't even know how to describe this. Here's what happens, okay? All the way back in book 1, the sun falls from the sky, or the sky all of a sudden goes dark, and we don't know why or what's going on or any of that. And John is the main character that we're following, and he makes his way across town to his friend's house to check on her, and he ends up going with her, and the two of them decide to go somewhere because John hears from his daughter. And so I don't even know how to talk about it without giving away so much. But John and Maria and Marcos are the best. They're just the best. And there are so many other characters that we meet and we immediately hate, or we immediately feel devastated and heartbroken about all the situations that have happened to all these people who are trying to cope now with darkness all the time. So this whole series is magnificent. Like, I can't even explain to you how much I love this whole entire series. But this book, knowing that it like wraps things up and we get ready to move to the second phase, is just special in its own way. I think that Daniel has such a way of picking out just the right phrasing and just the right word to use to describe something in just a way that I'm like I literally sometimes read his sentences and think, that could not be better. Like, if you were stopping and going, how can I write this sentence better? Like, there are so many times where I'm like, this just could not be better. It is the perfect wording to use for whatever the situation is. And I just think that he is such a talented writer. I went ahead and ordered his whole catalog. Y'all, I bought every book that he's written, except I didn't buy my own copy of Lily, but I need to do that. But I bought every book that he has written because I want more of that writing style constantly in my life. And so I am patiently waiting for the rest of the books in the series, but this book was just amazing. And the whole series has been. Read it. You should read it. You should read it. It's got gross parts. You can squint at the gross parts. And lastly, my third 5-star read was Purity in Death. Y'all, I just realized that the 5-star reads were all like series and all like the middle or the end of series. Like, it's so weird. This Purity in Death is book number 15 from J.D. Robb in the In Death series. But anyway, the thing that I like the best about this one, I mean, these books definitely follow a pattern. So there's some kind of murder / serial killer happening at the beginning. Then Eve is called onto the case and she tries to solve what's going on. And then at the end, she solves it. So that's basically how every one of these books go. So the fact that I am now in the 20s of these books and I want to keep reading them says that there has to be something else, right? Like, there has to be something else going on besides there's murder, Eve gets the case, Eve solves it. Like, there has to be something else, and it is. It is the characters, and it is the unique situations of some of the murders. The thing that I liked the best about this book was how unique the killer was. And as we find out when you start going through this, that they're leaving these messages on these computers that say like purity has been achieved or is achieved or something, but people are dying, and Eve has to try to figure out why that is or what's going on. And in this one in particular, we have some of the side characters getting injured or potentially more than injured in ways that just upped the stakes for me a lot in this book and this series, this book in particular. But it just made me, like, the tension felt like it was a lot higher in this book because of the other things that are happening around Eve and the extra people that are in her life now. And so this one, I couldn't put it down. I didn't want to stop reading it. I wanted to find out what was happening. Who were these people that were killing? How were they killing people through a computer screen? And like just everything about it that was going on. It was just really cool. And then all the stuff that was happening with McNabb and Peabody and everybody else that's around her. Like it was just such a great book. Right here in the middle of the series, like number 15 out of 50 something, which is not the middle, but in this series, like we're really far in, and this book just grabbed me. So it's one that I will remember all the way till I get to 50 something. I will still remember this particular one, I know. So those are the 3 5-star reads that I had in that section of 20 books. I can't believe that I only had 3 out of 20. Usually I average about 7 or 8 books out of 20 that are 5 stars. So 3 is not very many, but they were a great 3. Let me know below if you have read any of those books that I have as my 5 stars, or let me know what your last 5-star read was that you read. I would love to chat with you below about that, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.